Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com and we'll take a look at them after round 1. Today I want to give a shout out to Gannon Hunter, who should be having a baby today. Congrats to you, and I wish you and your family the best, and I hope that you enjoy this video whenever you get a chance to watch it. Alright, so the donation itself comes to us from John Tyler S., who wanted me to play Initiative Twin. So I think it'll be about maybe a week and a half ago for you all. I got a 5-0 with Caves of Chaos Adventurer in sort of Moon Stompy, and then I followed it up with a 4-1 in a red-white Winota deck list. The initiative mechanic is really powerful, and though I haven't recorded with it yet, White Plume Adventurer and Seasoned Dungeoneer will be coming to Magic Online in the next couple of days. And if I'm lucky and I got a hold of them quickly and they weren't a gajillion dollars, hopefully I've already recorded a video for you all by the time this goes live. The initiative is such a powerful mechanic. The ability to make your next land drop, grow the creature larger, and then drain for 5 is like really smoothing out your draws while putting the pressure on. And speaking of pressure, this deck is wild in terms of pressure because your opponent has to respect, frankly, so much bullshit. We have the Deceiver Exarch Splinter Twin combo, which threatens to make infinite copies of Deceiver Exarch. We have the Hullbreacher or Narset plus Days Undoing combo, which is a one-sided draw 7. And this is another Splinter Twin situation. So we can Hullbreacher combo, we can literal Splinter Twin combo, we can just win a game by playing a Blood Moon or Chalice of the Void that locks our opponent out, or we can kind of steal a game with initiative. This deck is not trying to play one strategy. And you'll notice that this deck doesn't really max out on a lot of these combo pieces. Instead, this deck is opting to be powerful but flexible, and it wants to have the ability to really catch the opponent off guard. So that's why we're not playing the full set of Splinter Twin, why we're not playing the full set of Caves of Chaos Adventure, why we're not playing the full set of Blood Moon. In game 1, we want, people to think, oh, you're Moon Stompy, and then all of a sudden we've drawn 7 extra cards. Right? Like, this is the kind of game plan that we're taking. We're looking to be a little bit unpredictable and quirky and really have that brewer's advantage. As far as the sideboard goes, in many ways it looks kind of red prisony in the sideboard. Like, we've got the ley lines and maybe the fiery confluences and furies that are traditional to either the main deck or sideboard of this deck list. And then we have a handful of kind of cards that can kind of round out plans. Notably, with this deck list, Splinter Twin is not just going to be a dead draw when we don't draw Deceiver Exarch. Like, you can Splinter Twin a Caves of Chaos Adventurer and, like, walk around with that. Like, the ability to attack with a 5/3 hasty creature every turn while triggering the initiative an additional time is totally respectable, right? And by the way, we can also copy our Caves of Chaos Adventure a different way. So that would be cool. Similarly, Deceiver Exarch isn't a dead card, right? Cast a Caves of Chaos Adventurer, Deceiver Exarch, tap the blocker, bash for 5, bash for 7, it's a real game plan. So what we're ultimately going to have to find out with this deck list is this deck list just too much of a mess? Because there's some things in here like Prismari Command and Fire Ice that aren't quite up to snuff for Legacy standards, but the multicolored cards are really good with Chrome Mox and really good with the pitch cards like Force of Will and Fury. So ultimately, we'll see how this plays out. Anyway, if you're new here and you like what you see today, please consider subscribing for more. And if you're a regular, throw me a like before the video begins. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. You end up wanting to mess around with this deck or get one of your other decks on the channel, all that information, as always, is available in the video description. Let's battle. Alright, round 1. We're playing against a Yorion deck of some kind, and I'm faced with a pretty interesting decision very quickly. My hand is going to be a keep. I'll let my opponent make their mulligan decision. I get to use this Lotus Petal once to do something cool. I believe it's casting turn 2 Caves of Chaos Adventurer after playing Chalice of the Void on turn 1. I think this is my starting point. I will play out the Lotus Petal. I would not like to lose that. I can't lose it to like a prismatic ending. I can't lose it to a discard spell. It maybe doesn't matter that I do that. Ooh, that's real good. Drawing an Ancient Tomb would be good here. Is a basic land drop. If I hit 4 mana for Caves of Chaos Adventurer, or I hit 3 mana for Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, I don't think I have to worry too much here. That Wasteland was very good. Okay, it's another Prismatic Vista. Let's change the angle on that a bit. Down a touch. Alright. Land. So important. Alright. Yeah, that Ancient Tomb was very important to my plans. That was not immediately obvious, given the situation that I'm currently in. Alright, Icefang Coatl. That's happening. I wonder what I do when I actually get mana. Like, it's possible I just cast Days Undoing and try to get a reasonable set of cards that I can play. Never mind. We'll defer that decision until a later turn. It is relatively unlikely to happen. There's a lot of non-land cards in a row. I guess I should check the mana count of this deck list. Uro is scary. Uro is very scary. Can happen next turn in some situations. Cool. I think I'd rather just discard a card than cast Fury here. Like this Narset, for example, is going to be very bad in the current situation, because like there's just going to be an onboard Uro most of the time. Fetch land here is 4th card in graveyard for Uro. A second fetch land would do it. Alright, there's Savannah, but we're cementing the fact that my opponent is Bant. I go to 15 from the attack. Green Sun, do you have like a Rex Sage or a Collector Oof? A Leovold. Sure. Well, this is kind of a sad Fury. Not gonna lie to you. This isn't gonna feel good. The draw 2. But I think my opponent's limiting resource here is not cards in hand. Like, they had 7 cards in hand before I did anything. My situation is dire. In theory, my plan for winning involves Blood Mooning my opponent with Force of Will backup, I think. I'm gonna take a minute and look at how many lands I actually have. So it's 19, including Sea Gates, or a total of 24 mana sources. That's a little light. Oh god, another Wasteland. So that is probably an Omnath, which I'm not currently beating. I don't think I can let an Omnath get into play. I think I have to force that. I don't know that my force resolves. I also kind of think that I'm ready to throw in the towel for this game. I'm very far behind in terms of resources. Like, I kept a very reasonable to good hand. I think this is an attempt at a Blood Moon. Not an attempt that feels good. But I think this is the thing that can maybe win me the game. So it's very unlikely that my opponent can put 2 lands into play with Omnath. Okay. It's in play. I'm at 13. I, in theory, can beat a 4/4 Omnath, but it's tough. Alright. Take your life. I take 4 damage. I'll be at 9. I basically need running lands for 2 turns to have a chance at winning. Oh no. We'll concede there. That's fine. So, against this opponent, I want more Caves of Chaos Adventurer. I want more Blood Moons. I want Narset, even though those things don't necessarily work well in conjunction. I don't think I want to 2-for-1 myself with Force of Will. Not super stoked on Fury. How does that make my numbers work? That's 59. Does Mari Command hit Planeswalkers? Any target. 1 Force of Negation or 1 Force of Will or 1 Brazen Borrower. One of these 3 to round out the deck list, I think. Alternatively, I can drop Fire Ice. It's just nice because it kills Ice Fang Coatls. Do one of these. I'm playing games with a very wild deck list here. So don't expect this sideboarding to be authoritative. This hand is a little light on mana. I can attempt to turn 2 Caves of Chaos Adventurer or attempt to turn 1 Narset. I don't love that this is a double Lotus Petal hand, but I think I'm keeping this one. I think I just play the basic land and pass, not playing out the Lotus Petals. I don't know, maybe I'm supposed to keep all of the Force of Wills just because they're so important for protecting like a Caves of Chaos Adventurer, because like, oh shit, that's really good. Because having the initiative tick up is just very strong. Here's to hoping this resolves, because if this resolves, I get my next land drop, and then I can always play Narset next turn. Nice. Alright, cool. I think I'll take my basic mountain so that I have access to both basics through sort of Blood Moon or Back to Basics effect or being wastelanded. In case you're not familiar with this, the initiative allows you to venture into the Undercity. Generally speaking, we're going to go up the left side to make our creatures large, drain our opponent for 5, draw a card, and then have a whole lot of fun with Throne of the Dead 3. In the situations where you end up losing your creature, you might end up going up the right side instead. It's pretty rare to end up going diagonally across. That's something that I have not ever done. Okay. So now I get to make my choice here. Do I want my opponent to lose 5 life and I draw a card, or do I want a 4/1 Black Skeleton token later and a treasure? Kind of interested in the treasure. Let's go right. This is Scry 2. Oh wow, it's another Caves of Chaos Adventurer. I'm always getting a treasure next turn. I don't necessarily need the 4th land drop, but it helps me cast the 2nd Caves of Chaos Adventurer. I think I'm good with both. So, oh, actually, if Narset resolves, having that land on top is not great, right? Whatever, I'm activating a Narset, it can't be that bad, right? Chalice or Prismari Command. I think the Chalice. I'm not super stoked to activating Narset and then end up getting a Chalice of the Void off of it. Like, that's not conceptually exciting to me. Alright, there's a land drop. I mostly don't want my opponent to take the initiative. I guess if you had to ask me what I'm scared of right now, it's my opponent taking the initiative before I get to Throne of the Dead 3. Yeah, that sort of stuff is totally fine. Next one is Stash for the treasure token. Another Chalice is my draw. Do I play Caves of Chaos Adventurer? I kind of would like to. I think I minus Narset first 100% of the time, though. Not interested in Chrome Mox. I am somewhat interested in Fable. I'll take the Fable. I am going to attempt to resolve another Caves of Chaos Adventurer here. This gets me a 2nd body into play, because I just get a 4/1 Black Skeleton. And this allows me to Throne of the Dead 3 next turn, which is really powerful. And if I draw a land, I can play like another Caves of Chaos Adventurer then, and just kind of keep this cycle going. I think if I sit back and try to lock my opponent out with Chalice, there's too many worlds where powerful mid-range things like Uro just end up beating me. Like, it'll suck if my opponent has like Swords to Plowshares and Prismatic Ending, and I lose both of these creatures to effective 1-drops. Green Sun is probably fine. Okay, just no ability to win from there. I can respect it. Yeah, I wonder if I'm supposed to be playing Force of Will here, just because resolving Caves of Chaos Adventurer with Force of Will protection is so good. I need 3 cuts here. Feel pretty comfortable dropping Fire Ice. Splinter Twin's kind of risky in this matchup. Is there a way where I can change this so I'm not playing the Splinter Twin combo? Would require me to bring in 4 more cards. I could keep some number of Furies to clear opposing blockers and just be something good to hit with Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Straight up play all 4. What do I actually think of this card? I'm actually not super excited about this. What if I drop that? Play a Force of Negation. 1 Fire Ice? Not really too excited about Brazen Borrower against Icefang Coatl. This has relatively quick Hullbreacher Days Undoing. I don't know that this hand is actually a keep, though, because I don't have the mana to actually play Hullbreacher into Days Undoing. I don't think I'm excited about this hand. I am certainly not excited about this one. This is a very good 5-card hand. I think I keep both Fables here. This is very bad if my opponent has Wasteland. That I'm not keeping the island over the second Fable. But I think given that I've mulliganed twice already, I have to take a hand with some degree of risk if I'm just going to have the ability to actually value my way through all of my opponent's cards. That's a great draw if I can resolve that. Absolute emphasis on the if here, but it's pretty good. Alright. No Wasteland would be cool. Okay, fantastic. Oh, also fantastic. Yeah, this gets to attempt Caves of Chaos Adventurer next turn, which is very good for me. Pause here from my opponent is potentially indicative of a counterspell. If they have Force of Will and Force of Negation in hand, that means that they actively did not want to cast it on the Chalice of the Void. So that's worth noting here. Land drop from the opponent. I'm going to go to 15 from Icefang, which is not that big of a deal. And it's Yorion to hand. Days Undoing is cool. If I play Caves of Chaos Adventurer, we're going to play the swap initiative back and forth game. I think I'm actually supposed to play Fable of the Mirror Breaker here, accordingly, instead of Caves of Chaos Adventurer. This is also going to give me a chance to have my opponent block the Shaman token with Icefang before I play Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Force of Will pitching the Yorion. Definitely a little bit scared. My life total is low-ish. My opponent has the ability to take the initiative, and if my opponent can keep the initiative, I will most certainly lose. It becomes a little bit tough to play out Caves of Chaos Adventurer in some timelines if my opponent plays out another threat here. Oh, shit. Now that's bad. My Days Undoing is now not particularly strong. We're a little too late in the game for Blood Moon to be good. They'll probably get Basic Island in case I do cast it later. This does not feel good. So I'll take the initiative. I'll get my basic land. Guess will be a mountain. Made a land drop. Not made a land drop. Yeah, I don't like my situation here. The whole idea with the initiative is that, like, you are the deck that is able to better utilize it, and my opponent is currently in the situation where they can better utilize the initiative than I can. Something big is coming. Another green sun. Uro? Rexage? The over slime. Alright. Land is put into your graveyard from anywhere. +1/+1 counter on it. Move 3 counters to bounce it. When it leaves the battlefield, you bounce some lands. Okay. I don't really know how I win, but I think if I take my Caves of Chaos Adventurer out of play, I'm just not winning. I'm going to declare no blocks. I think I'm probably just conceding once I take my draw step. Like, I think I'm just too far behind this time. But, I don't know. Yeah. I am now comfortable conceding. GG. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and they've got some really fun things in the works. In addition to being one of the premier decklist sites out there, they are also going to become a social media website as well. Now, this isn't going to replace Twitter, and this is still something that's in development. It's not finished, there's no timeline for when exactly this is going to be released, but at some point, you'll be able to use Moxfield as a place to talk about Magic the Gathering. This is a mock-up, and keep an eye on Moxfield. They're doing big things. Okay, round 2. This hand's an auto mulligan. It has no cards that matter. This hand's an auto mulligan. It does not have enough functional mana. Oh, it's going to 5 as well. Wow, this is very bad. So I've got a choice here. I can keep a very mediocre 5-card hand that looks like this, that just intends on Force of Willing the first thing that my opponent does. So it's effectively a 2.5 card hand. Like Volk Island, Lotus Petal is what I'm going to have left over. Or I can mulligan and try to actually do something that matters on turn 1, like a Chalice of the Void or a Blood Moon. I don't know what's better. I think I keep this one. We'll pitch Fury and Chrome Mox here. I'm on the draw. That helps a little bit. Do I force a Will Chrome Mox? I don't think I force a Will Chrome Mox. It's real tempting, though. I just let my opponent go down that other card. Unlicensed Hearse. Do I care about this card? Currently doesn't do anything. It'll do stuff as this game goes on. I don't think I care enough to Force of Will it. Oh shit. Is this a Splinter Twin situation? Sure feels like a Splinter Twin situation. I now really don't want to Force of Will. I just want to draw mana so that I can play Deceiver Exarch into Splinter Twin. Chalice is a weird draw. I don't need to cast that on 1 in this matchup, and I don't want to cast it on 0 because I have artifact mana that matters. I think this is just past the turn. I have some looting effects in my deck that I can maybe send this away if this game goes very long. The next question then becomes, like, when do I cast Deceiver Exarch? But I can cast it on my opponent's turn if I give up Lotus Petal, but I'd rather just draw 1 land, cast Deceiver Exarch off that 1 land, and then use the Splinter Twin, or the Lotus Petal to Splinter Twin. So I'm not going to cast this Deceiver Exarch right now. Fable is worth the Lotus Petal here. Like, there's some worlds where a Bonecrusher Giant Stomp goes after the token, but Bonecrusher Giant isn't always played, and my opponent also has to have it. Yeah, you can exile that card, that's totally fine. Okay, we're lucking out with my opponent not hitting land drops. Ooh, and I did hit a land drop. So yes, I will do this. I'll discard a Chalice of the Void. I will keep my land. Oh shit, that is a land drop that I don't have to pay life for, and this blue land pitches to Force of Will here as well. Alright, bash in for 2. Make a treasure token. Opponent takes 2. In their upkeep, cast Deceiver Exarch. Tap down a mana source. And I currently have Splinter Twin combo with Force of Will backup. And Deceiver Exarch notably did keep my opponent from casting something on their turn. Splinter Twin. Target Deceiver Exarch. I will make infinite tokens. In case you haven't seen this before, yep. How this works is you make a token, the token untaps the original with the Splinter Twin, this has haste, and so you create infinite creatures and kill your opponent. Okay, this is a pseudo mirror match, so these are probably the things that I'm going to be thinking about with Narset technically being playable. Chalice of the Void is just automatically coming out. That's just totally unreasonable. And then from there, I kind of have to think about what I don't want. I don't want Blood Moons. That's easy. This 62. Narset's not particularly great. Might get rid of Narset and then go down a Days Undoing. That keeps some Days Undoing for Hullbreacher, but keeps the vulnerable Narset out of play. I don't hate it. Alright. This is a weird pseudo mirror. This hand very quickly can go Hullbreacher into Days Undoing, and it also has Fury or Prismari Command to kill some initial creatures. I'm perfectly happy with this hand. What to do with the Scalding Tarn's a little weird. And I guess I don't have to make immediate decisions about it. I can play Scalding Tarn and pass. I'm probably planning on playing Hullbreacher into Days Undoing. It's just a little weird depending on what mana my opponent leaves up. Ooh. Hullbreacher is pretty reasonable versus that. I'm going to take my draw and then decide. I can get basic island for sure since I drew another land. Alright. Ancient Tomb, fetch this, grab an island with the Fable trigger on the stack. I'll play Hullbreacher. Now, my opponent has a handful of instant speed removal spells. There's some Dead Gons and potentially some Pyroblasts. And this is a May, so they can just choose no, but denying this looting is probably pretty good. See how crazy this turn gets. I'm not willing to block here, since I'm planning on doing Hullbreacher Days Undoing as my big thing for my turn. Post-combat Goblin Ravelmaster. That is respectable, but holy shit, this Fury is looking good. Make a regular land drop here. Go ahead and fetch a basic mountain out of my deck here. Play Fury, exiling Prismari Command. Go 2 damage to each of those. Go ahead and attack with the Hullbreacher. See if my opponent kills it with a removal spell. Go to 13. And I will attempt Days Undoing. It has worked. I have a pretty respectable hand here. Got a Fire that I can use to clean up this token. I've got a Fury that I can use. I also technically could cast a Seagate Restoration using all of the treasure tokens. That doesn't feel super necessary. Oh, what's your 1 card? 5 mana? It's a Fury. I mean, I think I'm fine with that. That can just happen. And I can play my own Fury on my turn. Yeah, this is fine. Oh, Force of Will's fantastic. Cast Fury. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do 3 damage to Fury, 1 damage to the Reflection. And I will play out an island. Cast Fire. 1 damage here to finish that off. 1 damage to you. That's worth another treasure token for sure. Got Force of Will pitching Seagate. Is it worth 3 treasure tokens to play Fable? Absolutely. Feels like we've got this one pretty easily wrapped up now. Yeah, what a swing. Yeah, there's the concession. That was brutal. GG's. Alright, this is round 3. We're playing against a Yorion deck. I have reasonable mana. I have a combo in hand. I'm going to keep this. And we'll see whether or not we're playing against a Death and Taxes style deck or if it's just blue soup. Alright, opponent took 1 mulligan. Blue soup it is. Okay. I have a piece of another combo. I guess I'd like to draw Force of Will at this point. Hullbreacher Days Undoing with Force of Will backup sounds pretty cool. Ancient Tomb to accelerate stuff out would also be quite nice. Alright, looks like we're chilling after the land drop. Oh shit, it's Ancient Tomb! Alright, well, we'll play that and maybe cast Hullbreacher in response to a Brainstorm or something. What am I afraid of here? Impactful 3-drop plus Counterspell would be annoying. Alright, we're seeing movement. Rubland. Yorion to hand. That's fine. Let's play a Hullbreacher. And like, if I can just will a Force of Will to the top of my deck. Chalice of the Void. Well, Days Undoing is the Force of Will check. And I just have to decide whether or not I actually want to take that. I drop my opponent to 16. Like, my hand's perfectly good right now. It's just, like, awkward that I can't play both Chalice and Fable simultaneously. I think I just live with that, though. I think I just accept that if my opponent has the counterspell here, I just play Chalice and Fable next turn, and that's still pretty reasonable. Alright. Because the upside of this resolving is that, like, my opponent doesn't have a Yorion. They don't have a Yorion for the long game now. I don't have 100% idea what my opponent is playing. It could be some sort of, like, Cephalid Breakfast type deck. Be a weird Esper Vial start to be this slow. Oh. Reality chip. So, I'm looking to play a Chalice on 0? Cavern on Human. Okay. Would Prismari Command and Chalice of the Void this turn if my opponent blocks. Alright, get in there for 3 maybe. Alright, I am getting the block, which is fine. So I believe my sequencing is now play Chalice of the Void, so something like a Swords to Plowshares can't disrupt this Hullbreacher. Why does... Oh, it does have 3 damage marked on it. It just doesn't show unless I zoom in on it. That's wild. So my opponent has 2 cards left. So I can Prismari Command in response here. And that's pretty good. I can just grab a basic. Alright. Cast Prismari Command. Target player draws 2, discards 2. 2 damage to any target. 2 damage to any target. You draw 2. This is cool. The end result here is that the reality chip is going to die. My opponent is going to not draw cards, and they are going to discard both cards remaining in their hand. Then I lose Hullbreacher, and Chalice resolves. Yeah, it does seem like my opponent is playing some sort of strange Esper Vial sort of deck. Yeah. Fairy's fine. It's a little annoying. Yeah, that's okay. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana next turn. Oh, yeah. I probably just put the Chalice back into play. I just think that's worth it. Don't want to lose the Caves of Chaos Adventurer in, like, any world. Well, I could just Fable this turn, and then my next turn is incredibly powerful. Instead. Nah. Let's do this now. It's just resolving right now. I will grab a basic land, and I get to make my land drop. And I think making that land drop is what puts this line over the edge. I also think I might be just ignoring the Teferi. Ooh. Stoneforge Mystic, you say? Getting Batter Skull. Okay. And I can outdamage that. Go to the Forge. Put my +1/+1 counters here. Oh. That's Hullbreacher Days Undoing combo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 mana. Yeah, so I can do it. Teferi's really weird here. I would like to be able to play things on instant speed on my opponent's turn, because I will have 7 mana. But my opponent also just basically dies next turn if I attack them directly. I think this is a I probably win either way situation. I'm not going to spend too much time thinking about it. I'm going to whack the Teferi. Actually get a Caves of Chaos Adventurer trigger. A lot of times my opponent concedes before I actually attack with them. Oh, there's a Fable of the Mirrorbreaker on top. I don't think I care about that. Alright. Goodbye, Teferi. There's Hullbreacher. And there's Days Undoing. Yeah, so like now I get to Force of Will my opponent's next play, which I wouldn't have been able to do if... yeah. Disgusting. Alright, so we are playing against this Esper Stoneblade adjacent deck list. I don't like a lot of this stuff here. I'm not really sure how I feel about the Blood Moons. Not sure how I feel about Splinter Twin either. Or Chalice. My opponent's removal is presumably white 1-drops. My opponent just played a bunch of creatures and didn't really show me things like cantrips. They presumably exist. Like, my opponent valued getting my Chalice out of play. Wonder if this is a Splinter Twin out situation. Like, remove these. Get better at answering, like, the Stoneforge Mystic portion of my opponent's deck. Unsure about Blood Moons. Like, my opponent's mana base looks relatively disruptible via Blood Moon, but I don't think I like it on the draw. Got like a Force of Negation to help deal with some removal spells. I also don't hate Brazen Borrower as an out to a piece of equipment that slips into play, but I should be pretty good at either killing equipment or answering the creatures themselves. Let's play like this. Force of Negation could be wrong. Maybe that's supposed to be Brazen Borrower. Just feels like there's a lot of situations where forcing an early critical card wins me the game. I don't think I like this hand. It plays a very fast Hullbreacher, but one of those Force of Wills goes under Chrome Mox, so that I can cast a Chalice of the Void on turn 1, and then the other is basically a dead card. I think I can just do better than this hand. Very unexciting but keepable hand. I think this is better than the first one. I'm not happy about it. I think this one's better. This is just a respectable mid-range game. And my previous hand did not have a respectable mid-range hand. I'm just going to go ahead and do this tapped here and not take the damage. The big thing that's going to beat me as of right now is Stoneforge with Force of Will backup. Also would have beaten hand 1 very handily. Alright. Something is occurring. Tavern on Human. Lavinia. This is for non-creatures, right? Yeah, this is for non-creatures. Super weird to be... Yeah, this main deck? Question mark? Alright, I'll just be passing the turn here. I don't want to Fury just a Lavinia. I would like to hit 2 creatures with it if possible. Alright, sure. The 18, 17 after I ultimately fetch, although I may or may not be fetching immediately. Stoneforge Mystic. So if this is backed by a counterspell, I am very scared. If it's not backed by a counterspell, this isn't bad at all. Lavinia is legendary and protectable via Caracas. Oh, they got sort of Fire and Ice. Interesting. I think I'm going to ignore the presence of Wasteland here. I'm already Wastelandable. Grab a Volcanic Island and just thin the deck. Is this symmetrical? No, it is not symmetrical. It is each opponent. I think I ignore Daze and I try to get a Fable of the Mirrorbreaker countered. And then pitch cast Fury. Because I don't actually care about this card, but my opponent could misevaluate it. And let's attempt this. Oh, fuck. The other side of Lavinia. Yep. Okay. I thought that said non-creature. Nope. It is not non-creature. It is only non-creature on the top half. There's a land drop. Well, it's not like my situation would be much better even if I still had that card in hand, right? Because this Lavinia is just going to beat the ever-loving shit out of me. Okay. And I can't really play my initiative card. This is not a reasonable card here. This is not a reasonable card here. Those are not reasonable cards. Like, I can play Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Take 6, they take the initiative, and then they take the initiative again. I think I am comfortable conceding here. So, my opponent is very much not playing basics. I think when I'm on the play, I will take advantage of Blood Moon. Maybe getting rid of a Force of Will, maybe a couple of Days Undoing, and the Narset. Seems fine. Possible Chalice should go instead. Wow, this hand's awkward. I think it's a keep, but it's really awkward. I believe I don't lead on Blood Moon on turn 1. I believe I lead on Chalice on 1 in an attempt to get Chalice Force of Willed. Because then I can draw any other red card for the future and not have to put Caves of Chaos Adventurer under Blood Moon. Or under Chrome Mox. Alright. Let's attempt to Chalice. Alright, it has resolved. I'll Moon next turn if I need to. Alright, there is a delta. Okay. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I would much, much rather put this under Let's attempt a moon. There's a good chance it gets forced. Yep. The opponent mulliganed to 6, so it's not surprising that like they wanted to do this. And now, basically, any non-artifact card that I draw allows me to play Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Okay, fantastic. So, Chromox, put Force of Will under it. Attempt Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Alright, I take the initiative. We basically don't have blue cards. If for some reason I lose access to all of my artifacts, I want red mana. So let's drop this. I will potentially cast Chalice of the Void for X's 2 next turn. We'll see where things go. Alright, opponent does not have a third land drop. We will attempt to make a very large, very angry creature. Nothing I think that is going to kill this in the middle of combat that wouldn't have already killed it already. Oh shit, it's another Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Alright, opponent takes 7. Going to 12. So I actually want to do this. Fetch. I can grab an island here. Play a new Caves of Chaos Adventurer. This will cantrip. Oh, I'm not as far as I thought. So this is Trap, which deals my opponent 5. They are facing down lethal next turn. Are we done? Yeah, we're done. GG's. Okay. This is round 4. I'm on the play. I don't have enough mana. This is an auto mulligan. This hand's pretty good. Gonna keep it. Probably pitching Prismari Command. That's just the hardest to cast card in my hand as of right now. Okay, so keep my hand. Pitch Prismari Command. My opponent is the person who donated for the recent, like, Sheoldred Sylvan Library deck list. So they could be on some Sheoldred nonsense. It doesn't matter what they're playing. I'm always casting Chalice of the Void on 1 here. Like, it is just the play that I have as of right now. Oh, do you get to cast your 1-drop through my Chalice? Not this turn. Okay. I have been given a boon in drawing Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. I think I just get Volcanic Island here. If my opponent wastelands me after I put Fable of the Mirrorbreaker into play, I'll recoup my mana pretty quickly, and they might be inclined to go after Ancient Tomb anyway. Plateau. Red-white humans? 3 mana. Thalia Heretic Cathar. Okay. This is a little awkward. I could cast Fire Ice off Ancient Tomb and just deal with the Thalia that way. I think that's fine. I can get more aggressive with Caves of Chaos Adventurer. I don't know that I have to. I think I'm going to discard no cards here. Fire! Alright. Goodbye, Thalia. Then I get to play Volcanic Island, attack for 2, and then I have either Fury or Caves of Chaos Adventurer next turn, followed by the other one on the next turn after that. So I'm pretty good at... Ooh, there's... Oh shit, it's my Winota deck list. Okay. I think it's my Winota deck list. I think it's been updated. But I think that's what's happening here. So I will cast a Caves of Chaos Adventurer, going to 11. And this will get me a basic land. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, by the way, I am now going to have access to copying Fury or copying Caves of Chaos Adventurer, which is just disgusting. Like, that's not okay. Yeah, this feels like an updated version of my Winota decklist, because I don't think I played this. Alright. So, generally speaking, this package of 6 cards is what I've been bringing in just about every single round. What is bad? Chalice of the Void is bad. Blood Moon is bad. Splinter Twin combo is a little dubious versus Hate Bears, because like Thalia Heretic Cathar makes the tokens enter tapped, and Thalia regular Thalia makes Splinter Twin cost 5. So the thing is, though, like, the remaining cards that I could bring in are pretty underwhelming. I think I like taking out 1 Day's Undoing for 1 Brazen Borrower, but I don't really know that I want another Narset. Okay. I do not have access to red mana here. This is a somewhat reasonable looking hand that I think is probably a trap. Like, I Force of Will pitching Prismari Command, and then I Fury pitching Fury, and I'm not actually going to work towards hard casting the cards that matter. I think this one just goes back. Yes. I'll keep this, getting rid of Deceiver Exarch, and the plan becomes Narset into Day's Undoing. Ooh, my opponent has gone to 5. 3 mana. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Oh, no. My hand is dead. I now cannot keep a Narset alive versus Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Oh, fuck. That card's so damn good. Opponent knows the truth of Legacy. Initiative is cracked. So I basically have to Fury it in order to attempt to do cool Narset shit. I'll play out a Lotus Petal. I play out Volcanic Island. That doesn't feel good. Alright. So the problem is, like, my opponent still has the initiative now, so they can just go up the right side instead and, like, fix their draws, get a treasure token, and make a 4-1. I'm definitely scared if my opponent has a relevant follow-up play. They're on 2 cards as of right now, though. But it's 2 cards involving a Scry 2, so it gets smoothed out a lot. Alright. No, that's not okay. That just clocks and kills Narset. It doesn't clock and kill Narset. My other mode here. 2 damage to Goblin Rabblemaster. I don't want to loot. Guess I make a treasure token. And wait until my opponent's turn to do this. Unless they have, like, Pyroblast, actually. Alright. Treasure token. 2 damage to any target. Fast. 2 damage. Treasure token. Ugh. Doesn't feel good. Alright. The new treasure token that I get makes up for the one that I just used and lets me cast Narset next turn. That 4-1 skeleton's coming next turn. Alright. I just kind of feel like... no. I have a family. I have a family, and they just want to cast their own broken combo in peace. Alright. I'm never getting out from under this at this point. Not really dead, though. I hate everything. Existence is pain. Fuck this ancient tomb. And initiative is good. Alright. So... yeah, I don't... Throne of the Dead 3 comes next turn. Oh, fuck. Alright. 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 I'm gonna let you have your fun. What the fuck? This is disgusting. And I love it. Oh my god. 2 goblins were attacking me at the start of this turn. 2 goblins. Now I'm at 2. Decent turn. I shall go out like the gentleman that I am. Alright. Yeah. Well, Narset sure doesn't feel good here. I'm gonna swap Narset for a Day's Undoing. Not that I really think that either one of them is particularly strong here. Oh man, my mana doesn't work here. If this was a red source, this hand is so good. But it has to be a mulligan. Also has to be a mulligan. On 5, this is a keep. I don't have blue for Brazen Borrower. That one's going. I think I get rid of Fable. And I think I just keep both halves of combos so that I have the highest density of draws that I can make to do something broken. Although maybe since I require red for Splinter Twin, that's wrong. Like, Deceiver Exarch is just a castable card in my hand right now, and I can use it to, like, tap down a soul land or something. Alright, let's see how scary this turn is. Spirit Guide under there. And a Legion Warboss. Okay. Combined with Ancient Tomb, this is a lot of damage. Do I tap Legion Warboss or Ancient Tomb? I think I tap Ancient Tomb. I think I'm more scared of more permanents getting into play than I am the damage. Tap Ancient Tomb. And hopefully my opponent doesn't just have like another soul land. Fuck. Okay. Not something else that is attacking pre-combat. So that's nice. I don't really know what to block this turn. I think I'm just going to kill a goblin token and take more damage here. That way Winota is a little bit less scary if that happens. Although I think if Winota happens, I'm just screwed.
I can take no play, or I can play Days Undoing.
I think I'm going to play Days Undoing. It does not feel good. But I just don't think I'm winning if I hold. Haven't hit red mana yet. I need both red, and Splinter Twin. Oh no, what is this? Bounce my Exarch. Okay. The good news is I can kill a lot of creatures. Bad news is, unless I draw a red source, I can't actually play. I'm gonna get Winota and fucking die. Okay, it's just a Rabble Master. I have no blue card here. No, this is it's okay, right? If I draw a red source and Fiery Confluence happens, it's maybe okay. What is this? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I can tap an Ancient Tomb once. My opponent will still just have 5 cards left, though, so that's kind of a problem. That is not a red source. I can pitch cast a Fury, kill 2.5 of these, and then die. Well, there's an obvious line. Pretty advanced. The normal Legacy player might not see it. We're going to cast Days Undoing, and then be sad that we can't pitch cast Force of Will in response. I'm going to let my opponent take the best screenshot they've ever had in their life. Find the Winota, young friend. Find it. No, they didn't find it. They did find Athalia. What is this one? I don't know this card. Subiri, Olzidi, Caravaner. Another target creature with... Okay, hold on. What is this doing? Another target creature with... Nope, where'd it go? Another target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. Discard your hand until end of turn whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less deals combat damage. Oh my god, that card is sick. Wow. GG's. I'm at like negative a billion D. Okay, final round here. My opening hand can play a turn 1 Chalice on one, but then does nothing. I'm gonna go ahead and just mulligan this one. Too many Chalices. Let's go to 5. Easy keep. Pitching the blue cards here. This is kind of a weak red prison, and at this point it kind of is what it is. Alright, time for those Leyline of the Voids in the sideboard to earn their fucking keep. Ooh, that's an Iona and a Grizzlebrand in graveyard. And that is not a Chalice of the Void. I'm going to play Island and pass the turn. And hope that my opponent chooses not to go for it this turn. That's the world in which I do something cool. But I think if my opponent just plays like an Animate Dead, I'm fucked. Okay, looting is fine. My Blood Moon isn't my way to win the game anymore, though, unfortunately. Played around that. Okay, Thoughtseize target me. I would take Lotus Petal if I were them. But I didn't want to show Lotus Petal on my turn. Because if they think I am a combo deck, they're more incentivized to go off immediately rather than wait, and I was trying to get them to wait. Oh, can you just, like, reanimate after all that? Oh shit. Alright. Animate Dead on Grizzlebrand with 1 mana floating. Alright, we'll let the draw 14 take the wheel. Actually, opponent might not draw 14, because they can just die. A burn. Yeah, it's actually sort of interesting whether or not you draw 14 if you can't produce a second creature here. Go to 1, and then they... To be fair, I also thought it was 8 CMC. Uh, okay. Um, all right. All right. So, ley lines are good. Force of negation is good. Brazen Borrower and Narset are probably good. Fury is bad. Splinter Twin doesn't feel particularly good, but Deceiver Exarch's definitely playable. Because Mari Command is basically unplayable here. How are Moons? I think Moon is unplayable when I'm on the play. Sorry, unplayable when I'm on the draw and very good when I'm on the play. Let's take out all the Splinter Twins and see where this leaves me at in terms of card counts. This is 58, so I can just bring in these guys like a boss. Downside of bringing in these guys like a boss is that my opponent Thoughtseizes me and reanimates them. It's super awkward because this card's fucking good. Fire Ice not particularly strong either, actually. But keep the Hullbreacher Days Undoing thing, because Days Undoing can clear a graveyard. I think that's a thing that technically matters. Boarding like this, I lose out on ice, tapping a permanent. I think that's fine. The upside of playing Blood Moon is that it takes my opponent off of white for Serenity, which is like definitely a thing that matters. I would not keep a Leyline of the Void hand that looked like this, but I will keep a Leyline of the Void Force of Will hand that looks like this. I'm a-okay with this situation. Yeah, loot away. And then any land in 2 draws gives me Chalice of the Void as backup for this. That's not a land. That's okay. Like, I'm prepared to miss for a couple of turns. I think Leyline plus Force of Will, generally speaking, is strong enough to make this worth doing. Fantastic. Is it Blood Moon or is it Chalice of the Void? My opponent just gets Swamp here. I think it's Chalice of the Void. That makes Dark Ritual-based lines harder, and that shuts off future Faithless Lootings. Alright, it's in play. Opponent's waiting on the Bloodstained Mire. Blood Moon slowly getting worse. Leyline's not great. This is just Fable, so that I can play Caves of Chaos Adventurer next turn, potentially. Maybe it isn't. Or just Moon. Moon stops Serenity, which is the biggest single card that I care about right now. Just means that I don't have a threat in play. And I'm not clocking, which is weird. I'm gonna play Fable. I don't know, maybe Moon's better. Moon just takes me off of a lot. Then, like, it has to be, like, Grief specifically into Serenity in order for me to kind of care. Alright, I will absolutely use this ability, getting rid of Leyline and probably Days Undoing here. Or no, Days Undoing is my pitch card for Force of Will. I'll get rid of the second Chalice. Maybe I get rid of the Blood Moon. Like, I'm super hesitant to cast this anyway. And I can just play Chalice of the Void on 2 this turn. Okay, yeah, this is good. Alright. Land drop. Combat. Back in for 2. Opponent goes to 18. And cast a Chalice. For X is 2, shutting off Serenity. I think is my opponent's primary out. Now I've got Seagate Restoration for Force of Will, and I'm going to play Caves of Chaos Adventurer and very quickly take over this game. I don't really know what out my opponent is playing towards at this point. Back for 2. Opponent goes to 16. Oh, I didn't actually tap red. Alright, Caves of Chaos Adventurer, which I'm going to copy next turn, which I believe kills my opponent. Grab Island. Play Island. I don't need to play another Chalice. Disgusting. Okay, they're doing something. I guess I could Show and Tell. Show and Tell. Force of Will, target that. Pitch Seagate. Alright, and that is the 3-2 finish for us. Alright, relatively happy with how things played out in this league, although I'm going to admit, I think we finished a little bit higher in this league than we're going to finish on average with the deck built the way that it is as of right now. Let's take one last look at it here. I think the worst part of this deck list is the Splinter Twin combo. It did win me a game. Now, I want to like make that very clear. It did win me a game, but I think these 5 cards are supposed to go so that you can focus on 2 combos. I think this deck can kind of like fully support 2 things, and I think this 5-card package that I boarded out in a bunch of my rounds should go. I think that gets you 2 more Caves of Chaos Adventurers, 2 more Blood Moons, and 1 more Fury. And I think that gives you a more reasonable deck. So you can be this Caves of Chaos Adventurer, like, aggro deck, and you can be this Hullbreacher Days Undoing deck, but you're not trying to have, like, 3 separate plans. You're trying to have 2 plans. Prismari Command and Fire Ice were kind of medium throughout the league. In the post-sideboard games specifically, I really liked having access to them, because Prismari Command plus Fire Ice plus Fury plus Fiery Confluence plus maybe Brazen Borrower was just a high density of removal, and I was able to remove a lot of creatures. So, generally speaking, I think I would give this exact 75 a thumbs down, but the ideas that are here a thumbs up. Now, the ultimate question that I'm going to have, and I've had this with many of my deck lists in Legacy recently, is what we are doing here better than just playing something that already exists? Like, the Moon Stompy deck that exists with Caves of Chaos Adventurer is very good, it's very consistent, and I mulliganed a lot of hands with this deck. I was looking for mana, or the right color of mana, so I'm not sure that this exact deck list is where I want to be, but I do know that the initiative slaps. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. It helps out a lot. I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!